All right. Today we're going to be talking about sales. And the reason I wanted to talk about that today is because that's one of the things, it's one of the parts of the process that tends to be so uncomfortable. Nobody likes to do it. Wouldn't it be great if you could just win a client without having to go through the sales process, and you could just jump straight into working together and just doing some awesome stuff without all the high pressure talking about money and just trying to, go in for the close, all of that stuff. Wouldn't it be great if there was some way to avoid that and still be able to work with your clients and of course, all the while getting paid for what you do? Well, the good news is there is a way to do it. That old like high pressure sales technique is really just an old and kind of an antiquated I can't even speak, antiquated way of doing things. And what you can do is you can try these three things that we're about to talk about, and that will change the way that you interact with your clients. It will change the way your clients see you, and it will change the entire atmosphere around the process, and it will be better for everybody. It's an energizing process that really benefits everyone involved. And the great news is you don't have to be one of those super outgoing, extroverted people to be able to do this stuff. And instead, in fact, what we've even found is the introverts are even more effective. People that are genuinely interested and care, and not so eager to just jump in and talk about superficial things. Those types of people are the ones that actually have the most success with this kind of a process. So let's talk about it. So there's three things that I kind of want to dive into, and I'm sort of giving away some of the secret sauce today, because these are the three things that you can focus on with regard to acquiring new clients and winning new projects in such a way that you don't have to like offend people or pressure people, and in fact they'll actually thank you for the meeting. So here's the three things. So the first thing is you want to shift the focus from me into we, and so what I mean by that is even the times when you're trying to actually help people with the services that you offer, one of the things that kind of clogs the process is the focus on what you can do. That you can do graphic design and SEO and web design and responsive design, and here's the clients that you worked with in the past, and here's your hourly rate, and here's what you normally do for folks, and all of that stuff tends to be focused on me. And what would be better would be to shift the focus into we. So like, what can we do together? What can we be doing that will that will actually develop a relationship that we can pursue in an ongoing way? So not just to crank out 2 or 3 4 page website and then be done, but what can we be doing together to actually get the business for your client? So what business objectives and outcomes can you offer to your client, and have a conversation about that, and kind of focus the conversation on what you can do together, the teamwork aspect of things, rather than what your skill sets are, what your background is, what your portfolio is, what your testimonials are, all of those types of things. So that's kind of shift number one. And so shift number two, which is kind of directly related to that, is rather than talking about what you can do, how many pages the client wants, or waiting for the client to tell you what they want, wouldn't it be great if there was a way to have a conversation that really uncovers the problem of what they're trying to achieve? So asking some questions and diving into what they have in mind for their outcome is the essence to the uncover the problem phase of the meeting. And so all that is to say that rather than like immediately asking about budgets or immediately diving into what your average cost is for a project, or what your rates are and things like that, why not first talk about uncovering the issues? Like, what are the outcomes they're trying to achieve? What are they trying to do? Why do they want the website in the first place? Or if they already have a website, what's not working with the website they already have? Or if they do already have a website and they're telling you things that aren't working, what do they have in mind that they would like to actually be the outcomes for their project? And then that kind of leads into the third thing. And the third thing is the intent. So the reason that I wanted to list this one last, this is sort of like an overview, like an umbrella over the entire thing. So the intent. And the intent is, when you have a client meeting, of course, you want to be able to work together. You want to be able to help. It would be great if you had a new paying client in the mix. But wouldn't it be better if the intent was just to go in and serve and to help and to just to offer what you can do and see if that's the kind of thing that your client would benefit from? And so often that the case is things don't really work out that way. And instead, oftentimes the intent is, well, it sure would be great if I had another client so that I could, and then, make more money, do whatever, you need another client. And so oftentimes you're in survival mode, and you just, you got to get another client in the door. And so the intent is to get another client in the door rather than to actually serve them and have the whole meeting be about serving. And what I think you're going to find is that when you shift the intent away from the financial aspect of it and into serving, then you're going to notice that you actually get a better financial outcome from it, which is kind of a strange thing, but that tends to be how it works. So, for example, if you go in and say, okay, well, just tell me your budget, and they say, well, I don't know, my budget's $800, and then you say, well, there's nothing I can do for that, so this isn't going to work out. And so immediately it's this combative sort of conversation, because you've kind of you've skipped those first two steps. You've skipped the shifting of the focus to the teamwork concept, and you haven't done anything with regard to uncovering a problem. And if you went to a doctor and the doctor did that, you would freak out. I mean, that would be a bad thing. That would be a terrible doctor. Like, what kind of doctor would you go in and see them, and then they'd be like, okay, well, I'll tell you what, you need a strep test, and you'd be like, what? I came in here because I sprained my ankle. Why are you giving me a strep test? So there's got to be this uncover the problem aspect of what you're doing. So and so one of the things that's kind of a red flag or a caveat in all of this is, a lot of times you, like, as the WordPress developer, you do like your heart is really centered on that intent of, I want to help and I want to serve, but the way that you talk about things would be it's kind of combative, just because of the nature and the order in which you present the information. And so, like, your heart is centered on serving and the intent, but your structure, the structure of the way that you interact with people, is focused on money and kind of like that old style pushy, drive you into the close kind of mindset. And you can uncover this, you can discover this by noticing, like, it's like one of the first things that you ask for your client's budget. And if it is, you have to ask yourself, well, why is that? Because, you're automatically assuming that your client has the same idea in their mind as you do with regard to your services, that your client knows all the things that you can offer. So it's like, and so if you start asking about money and budget right off the top, then you kind of bring the whole money thing up too soon, before you've had a chance to really talk about teamwork, before you had a chance to uncover the issues, before any of that happens, even though your heart is centered. Because what will happen is, you'll say, well, you tell me what you can afford, and then I'll tell you what I can do. And so, what you're trying to, like down deep inside, like, what you're trying to do is, you're trying to actually help by saying, okay, well, this person has a budget of $500, and for $500, here's the things that I can offer. Or this person has a budget of $5,000, and for $5,000, I can do these other things. And so, like, kind of in your mind, like in your heart, your intent is to actually serve, but the structure of the meeting is, let me, just tell me how much money do you have, and then I'll tell you what I can do for that. And so, on the part of the client, the way that they're going to be receiving that is combative. It's draining. It's frustrating. And it really doesn't get you the outcome that you're really looking for, because you've kind of skipped the various parts. And wouldn't it be better if you could uncover what the issues are, if you could develop that relationship, get that teamwork going? And even if they can't afford the full suite of your services today, maybe you could do some things in the future. So you could start small and then do more things later. So if that's the kind of stuff that you're interested in learning how to do, if you're interested in figuring out how can you restructure or even think through the structure for the first time of how you meet with clients, so that you're developing that teamwork attitude, you're figuring out a way to conduct these meetings so that you can really discover what the actual causes and the sources of the problems are, and then how you can overcome those challenges with the skills that you have. Even if you're looking to ramp up the skills that you have, what are some things that you might want to focus on with that regard? And then on top of all of that, what can you do to get the kind of structure in your meeting, so that you don't have to, start out with how much money do you have, and you really have that consistent that consistency between what's really in your heart to do and the structure of the meeting. So all of that's congruent, which will make for a much more effective and energizing meeting that's going to build those kinds of relationships with your clients. That's going to set you up as the leader for their online business or the online aspect of their business. And that's really going to be what sets you apart as a premium consultant that can charge premium rates for your service. So if that's the kind of stuff that you want to talk about, head over to doublestack.net/call, and you'll see some time slots in my personal schedule where you and I can talk together for about 45 minutes, and we'll go over this very thing. Like, what are the things that you really feel like are big challenges when you talk to your clients, or maybe you even wondering, like, who are your ideal clients? What's your target market, and what kind of rates can you charge for that? And so we'll talk about all that kind of stuff. So if that's the kind of stuff you really want to do, you want if you're serious, you're committed to growing your business, but you're kind of feeling stuck because when you talk to clients, everybody's broke all the time, or you're just having a really hard time connecting and uncovering that kind of value. Let's talk about that so we can get that fixed. And that's really what it's going to take to kind of get you back on track, get you back to the next level. So head over to doublestack.net/call, pick a time that's going to work for you for my personal schedule. We'll talk then. And then right after that, you'll see a little form with a couple of questions about a link to your website, and a couple of questions about the kinds of clients you work with, and the things that you do. So I kind of know a little bit about you before we get on the call, so that we'll be able to pack that 45 minutes with as much value as we can. So if that sounds good to you, then head over to doublestack.net/call, and we'll be talking. So I look forward to talking to you, and high five. Boop. Talk to you soon.